They're not falling out this morning. I put these bad boys in about an hour ago. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, and how do you do? Oh, were you chosen to rise this morning? Evidently you were, just like me and just like my son AJ Hardy. Woo, he was talking about those discernments of spirits and how they come in all shapes, forms, and fashion. We don't wrestle. We don't wrestle. We don't wrestle. What? We don't wrestle with what? Guess what? You got to listen to AJ Harding every morning from 6 to 6:30. And then my dear friend Jay Mackler, Morning Coffee with God, okay? So when I'm able to tune into her, I will do that as well. But right now, you are tuning into Free to Hope. From recovery, we emerge empowered in order to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Now, because our God, our Creator, woke us up this morning, this day, that we will never, ever, ever see again. Did you think that you would live through yesterday? Or did you take it for granted? Many of us take many, many things for granted. But when you practice spiritual principles, tools, and resources, you will realize that you can't take nothing for granted, not even the breath that you take every few seconds, right? And they said if you think you are powerful than the Creator, try holding your breath for a while until such time you got to let go and let God. So therefore, we want to give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, and most importantly, the acknowledgement. Not that he needs it, but he would appreciate acknowledgement. My knee bowing experience 34 plus years ago underneath that car. Yes, life flashed before me as a prostitute, crackhead, alcoholic, mental illness, and all the associated behaviors. I was beyond my wits' end. I didn't want to live one more second of that vicious cycle. And I cried out to a God that I didn't know. Whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. I acknowledged the God of all creations. Okay? So, free to hope, from recovery, emerge empowered in order to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Listen, if you haven't had your knee bowing experience yet, keep living because you will. And I know that through my 12-step spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous, within a spiritual fellowship, that we are given this gift called life, that as we trudge through the journey of life on this earth, we will face some challenges and obstacles and things of that nature because we are born into a sinful world and have a sinful nature. However, he died on the cross for past, present, and future sins of all of us, right? But when we recognize that I can't do it without him, who is him? Well, have your knee bowing experience and you will soon find out, because I haven't looked back since. He delivered me, met me, prepared me from underneath that parked car to be sitting here before you. Free from recovery, I've emerged empowered, and I know doggone well I'm giving hope to at least one person. Help others prosper equally. We are born to serve, okay? Now, there are a couple of announcements I need to make. Y'all know I got to give you some updates, all right? As I said earlier, I talked to Mr. and Mrs. Don Thomas from Atlanta my extended family and their daughter Legacy will be coming up here and moving in with me so that we can continue the legacy of Dr. Benjamin Twimby Brown. Now, I talked to Dr. Sharon Burton, who is about to complete his book, The Legacy of Benjamin Twimby Brown, and we're looking to have it released during the month of November, Gratitude Month, month of thankfulness, right? Along with the celebration of life. It's going to be a 2-day celebration. Saturday, a musical, and Sunday in church. All right. And so she let me know that there were some people that did not contact her back so that they can be included in his book. So I told her, send me the list. I'll get them. I'll get them. Y'all know me. I ain't intimidated by no man, right? So I will be contacting those who Dr. Burton has been trying to get in touch with for over a year. Come on now. All right. She said Matt Meyer called her the next day, like maybe 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. So guess what? If the now elected governor, right, can make that phone call, come on, Lisa Blunt, Rochester. Come on, other politicians and servants of the government. Come on now, y'all need to be included in this book. All right. So I will be contacting you as well. I also will be soliciting contributions, donations, so that we can put on the extravaganza that Twin wanted all of his life, right? And he deserved it. But sometimes it's in God's hands and in God's time and not in our hands and our time. So the celebration of his life and the release of his publication book will be in November. Don, I, and Lyric will be setting up shop in the Congo Wisdom Center to start production. All right. So you will be getting more information about the upcoming event and the relaunch of Community Communications Corporation, headed by yours truly, Edwina Bell, named Executive Director, passed the torch, and humbly accepted. Okay? All right, so let's go on to another announcement. All right, that's the daily reflection for today. Now, many of you know, if you ever wanted to find me where I am in the morning from 7:30 to 8:30, I am now the Sunrise Group Beginners Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous has moved. We moved from the 1212 Corporation, and I thank them for allowing us to be there for 38 years. Other than that, if you have nothing else to say good about anybody, bad about anybody, don't say nothing about anybody. All right. So we are at the Legacy Center, 501 West 28th Street, Wilmington, Delaware. That should be 19802. Okay. And enter from the side door from the parking lot. We're there Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and on Sunday from 9 to 10. So if you want to ever come join me at my home group, please come to the Legacy Center, 501 West 28th Street, Wilmington, Delaware, 19802. Enter the side door from the parking lot, Monday through Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 10. All right, so let's go to our reading today. All right, so before I do that, you know, the month of September is step number 9. And it states, may direct amends to such people where possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And we talked about the need to clean off outside of the street, to be accountable for the part we played in the demise of relationships and friendships and all of that, right? Clean up outside of the street, be accountable for the part that we played in things, be responsible for suiting up and suiting out and making the amends that are direct or indirect so that we can heal possibly the relationship. If it is not received, then that's God's business. But for those in recovery, we can't afford resentments. We can't afford anger. We can't afford being deceptive and misleading. We can't afford hatred. No, because that could and it has led people back to drinking. You know me, I'm not giving anything or anybody that much power to remove me where God has placed me, okay? So I have, in my 34 plus years, made amends directly and indirectly. And because I stumble forward, I continue on a regular basis not to cause additional harm. And that's why these spiritual principles are so vitally important, because they will give us tools and resources to use to help set us free, right? Freedom from fear of rejection, freedom from fear of being abandoned, just total freedom from fear. Now, in our past lives, fear stands for F everything and run, forget everything and run, right? But in recovery, we've learned to face everything and recover. Fear, face everything and recover. And so, if you, like me, and millions of others want to be set free from fear, then these 12 spiritual principles, choices, and tools, resources, not choices, resources will help you to do that. All right. So let's go into our reading for today. And our topic today is freedom from fear. Okay. So let's see what it says. Let me take a drink first. Okay. Y'all got your coffee? You might have something else, but that ain't none of my business. Okay. All right. Freedom from fear. When, with God's help, we calmly accepted our lot, then we found we could live at peace with ourselves and show others who still suffered the same fears that they could get over them too. We found that freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. Wow. 12 steps and 12 traditions. The person in recovery states, material values ruled my life for many years during my active alcoholism. I believed that all of my possessions would make me happy. Yet I still felt bankrupt after I obtained them. When I first came into AA, I found out about a new way of living. As a result of learning to trust others, I began to believe in a power greater than myself. Having faith freed me from the bondage of self. As material gains were replaced by the gifts of the Spirit, my life became manageable. I then chose to share my experience with other alcoholics. Oh, my. All right, let's dive into this, okay? All right. Freedom from fear. What are you afraid of? What do you fear the most? What have you been afraid of, past, present, and even future? Fear. Fear, I've learned in my spiritual fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, along with the Uis family. Fear is the exact nature of all our character defects. Fear. That's right. Jealousy, camouflaged by insecurity, camouflaged by abandonment, camouflaged by rejection, camouflaged by fear, the exact nature. Fear is the exact nature of all our character defects as human beings. Yep. Do your research. Fear from, fear to. Fear. How many of you were taught there was a boogeyman in the closet? That there was a boogeyman in the bathroom. There was a boogeyman under the bed, huh? People instilled fear in us. My father instilled fear in us. If you move, you will regret it. I brought you here and I'll take you out. So fear is a learned behavior, right? Because when we are born, right, we are born into an environment and with people that we did not choose, but our Creator chose for us in this vessel. So just like any baby that is born, it is receptive to the parent or the grown-up that's going to mold, shape their lives. And so we've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous that fear is taught. Then later on, it says in the scripture, our Creator did not give us the spirit of fear. So fear and faith cannot abide in the same body, mind, right? Okay. So now I'm starting to listen, whereas before I heard and didn't pay attention. So let's dissect this baby. Freedom from fear. Freedom from fear. Okay. So the first line basically says, let's move this out. Okay. All right. So when with God's help, we calmly accepted our lot. Okay. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When with God's help. You hear that? When with God's help, we calmly accepted our lot. Okay. Let's marinate on that a little bit, okay? When says there is going to be a designated time that something is going to happen, that something is going to occur. We can anticipate something's going to go down. When? Question mark. When? Okay? Now, I came into Alcoholics Anonymous 34 plus years ago, weighing 90 pounds, full of STDs, hair all short, skin all dark, eyes sunken in, face like a skeleton, suffering from co-occurring disorders of mental illness and alcoholism, and a prostitute. I had all the associated behaviors. I was worse than a hot mess. You hear me? But my mess, with God's help, turned into a message. So when my God, who I now know and didn't understand then, because I was taught he was a punishing God, that God couldn't possibly love you, Edwina. You're an ornery little girl. You're lying, you're stealing, you're cheating. Well, who did I learn that from? Inquiring minds want to know. Okay. And so when I cried out to this God that I didn't know to take me out this life now or show me a better way, that when became right then and right there for me. With God's help, because I cried out, whoever they say you are, take me out or show me a better way. Calmly, with God's help. When? Calmly, with God's help, right? We accepted our lot. Now, for people in recovery, you may associate that with the first step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol that our lives had become unmanageable. Now, you may not have an addiction to alcohol or drugs, but you have an addiction of some sort. All right? We are creatures of habits, right? And so there are good habits and there are not so good habits, right? There are demonic habits and there are spiritual habits, okay? Because we are creatures of habits, right? Okay. And so when my God decided to keep me here, I accepted that I was beaten down, defeated, humiliated, right? Disgusted, hopeless, helpless from what I now know was my disease of alcoholism, coupled with my pride and ego. I was totally beyond humiliation. Through that humiliation, when, with God's help, allowed me to be humble enough to say, help me. Okay? So think about it. All right, let's go on. All right. So then it has here, okay? Then we found we could live at peace with ourselves. We could live at peace with ourselves. I'm telling y'all, man, oh man. I hope y'all saw my little check-in yesterday on Facebook, right? Then we are able, right, to live at peace with ourselves. Huh? Are you at peace with yourself? Are you peaceful, tranquil, serene? Not all of the time, but let's say majority of the time. And if so, what spiritual resources, tools, and principles have you been using to help you, like me, live at peace with ourselves? I'm at peace with myself. My father's favorite song was Peace Be Still. My father eventually found peace with himself. Each and every one of us, through our knee-bowing experience, will call out to this creator to help us. And thereby we are asking for peace. We are asking for peace with ourselves, okay? And so because of the 12 spiritual principles and resources, I have been able to have and live with peace of myself. And this is the other part, show others who still suffered the same fears that they could get over them too. See, that goes back to our creator, my creator, and the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous says, Edwina, y'all, I just want y'all to do 2 things for me. Just do 2 things for me. Now that you have turned your will and your life over to me, now that you recognize that no human power could have relieved your addiction, alcoholism, that I could and would if I was sought. Yes. So now that the student became ready and the teacher appeared, now I'm putting you on a pathway for the spiritual student to become ready so the spiritual teachers can appear. And so with that, I'm going to equip you with spiritual principles, tools, and resources first to help yourself, and then be prepared to help somebody else. We were born to serve. Y'all got that, right? Okay. So then he says, we found this freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. Oh my gosh. Huh? You got to marinate on that, don't you? It says here, we found that freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. Now you dissect that baby, okay? Because I got to go on and get ready to go to my meeting, okay? Freedom from fear is more important than freedom from want. Oh my God. Do you know that as a person who has been practicing these spiritual principles for 34 plus years, the amount of spiritual experiences I have encountered that brought about a wealth of spiritual awakenings that produced an unlimited amount of spiritual breakthroughs, right? And it all was based on freedom from fear. Freedom from fear. I wondered if I could ever stop. I wondered if I will ever be good enough for God. I wonder if I was even good enough for anything or anybody. Yes, Nobody would want me. Nobody would need me. Nobody. I'm what? Fear. I want freedom from fear. I don't want to fear nothing but the wrath of God if I am not obedient. Other than that, no. And what's going to help me have freedom from fear is spiritual tools and resources that I can guarantee you beyond a shadow of a doubt, because if you're from Missouri, I've shown you. Yes, I have. Yes. And my honor, my obligation, my responsibility is to say you too can be set free, right, from fear. But you must, if you want to live your heaven here on earth, learn about, study, embrace, analyze, dissect, internalize spiritual principles, resources, and tools. There is no other way. Why? Because we were taught, as the Louise family talked about, we was taught everything that we believe, say, think today. We were taught those things. And where did it get you? But I know where it got me, underneath that parked car. So I am willing, through humiliation, to have all my character defects removed by the only person who can remove them, and that's God all by himself. It didn't take overnight for me to have those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that created my fear. And freedom from fear is not going to happen overnight. But when, with God's help, I will accept my lot and keep trudging forward as I stumble forward. Okay? Now, let's see what the person in recovery has to say. All right? Let's go back. Okay? Now, this guy, he says, right? Material values ruled my life for many years during my active alcoholism. Okay? Woo! Majority of us, a good amount of us, have been taught that everything is in the materialistic world. How much you got, where you got, what, how much do you have, how many, what? Materialism, right? Material things, right? Material values ruled my life for many years during my active alcoholism. Well, it perpetuated during my alcoholism because I had material values way before I picked up a drink or a drug. But I understand what he's saying, right? Right? As an alcoholic, a drug addict, right? Our material values, because guess what? we used them to buy drugs and drinks and sell and all kind of stuff. So they came in handy, right? Okay. So he goes on to say, I believe that all of my possessions would make me happy. Huh? Now, I listen, if y'all come to my house, y'all would say, Edwina, this is sick. You're sick. You're sick. You're not a bad person. You're sick. And your sickness is obvious with all of this stuff, all of these material clothing and shoes. That's basically what it is. That you don't need. You only have one body, you only have 2 feet. So why you have all these clothes? Well, I am making progress and I see the insanity of my thinking when I look around this house and getting prepared to have my extended family move in. Oh, my. I've been restored to sanity, right? And so when I hear him say, I believe that all of my possessions would make me happy. I am so mad at Adam and Eve. Yes, I am. Because if I had it my way, I wouldn't have no clothes. I would have maybe a slipper, but I would have no clothes. I don't like clothes, believe it or not. I would prefer to be naked. Yes, I would. I am so mad at Adam and Eve. But because of conditioning, because of being taught that the more you have, the more this, the more you have, the more of this, the more you what? The more you have, the more sick you are. I'll speak for me. It doesn't make any sense any longer, but just like underneath that parked car, I've had my experience with material things, particularly as I'm going through this house of mine, and every room is my closet. Now, okay, but I'm getting better, trust me. So these things don't make me happy. As a matter of fact, they don't make me miserable now. There's only 365 days in a year. So even if with my used to be 700 pair of shoes, I couldn't wear them every day for the whole year. Now what kind of sense that makes? If I can't tell you how many dresses, suits, listen. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I'm getting better. So he goes on to say, right? When I first came, then he says, right? Yet I still felt bankrupt after I obtained them. Now I'm looking around and I'm seeing all this stuff and I'm like, Edwina. And the void has only been filled by God and God himself. I thank God that the Holy Spirit within me has challenged me, has given me the awareness, the spiritual awareness to put on my spiritual glasses, to open up my spiritual ears, to open up my spiritual heart, to see that none of this stuff can ever fill the void that our God, my God, can. And I'm so glad I found that void, filled that void with him. All right, so then he goes on to say, right, when I first came into AA, I found out about a new way of living. Oh, yeah. So when I came to AA, I'm going to say eventually I found a new way of living. See, when we are gifted and we don't recognize the gift or we don't understand the gift, we're kind of hesitant, we're kind of skeptical, right? You know. However, when I look back over my life and I see where I came from, hey, anything looks better than that. So as I was led, directed to a 12-step spiritual program by my creator, He was introducing me to a new way of life. You hear some people say, I want my old life back. I don't want to drink. I don't want nothing from my old life. My greatest possession is my past, right? That I need to learn from, evaluate it, dissect it, conduct surgery on it, and change my attitude and perspective about it now that I'm on this new way of life that's spiritual in nature. That makes sense? Makes sense to me, but it didn't make sense in the beginning. That's why they say keep coming back. So yes, I don't want nothing of my old life. I am a new creature. Same vessel, but I allow the spirit, the fruit of the spirit, to occupy this vessel because I'm aware of the other spirits that A.J. Harding talks about. Okay. So then they goes on to say, right, as a result of learning to trust others, I began to believe in a power greater than myself. Okay. As a result of learning to trust others. See, we trusted in our childhood. We trusted our parents. We trusted people as we grew up. We trusted. And because we were, and they were, in their sinful nature, born into this sinful world, we yet trusted because we were told to. We were domesticated to. No matter what the situation was, trust. You tell me to do this, but you don't do it. You tell me not to smoke, but you're smoking. You tell me not to drink, but you're drinking. Who am I to trust? What is trust? Huh? Okay. So now that was based on our humanness, our ego, and our pride. All right. But coming to Alcoholics Anonymous, a spiritual program within a spiritual fellowship, I am surrounded by people who too had their one and only knee-bowing experience. They didn't want no more of that old life, right? And they became the spiritual student so that the spiritual teachers could appear and are appearing, all right? And so I had to trust these individuals now that I am of a mature spirit, right? Knowing what my old life was like and didn't want no more of it, trusting this God who kept me here, to trust him to place me someplace else. And so I began to have trust in these people, my sisters, my brothers, in the rooms, in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. I began to listen later on. I began to follow later on. Why? Because I kept coming back. But in the beginning, just like a newborn baby, I don't know, but I'm in an environment where my God has placed me, and it will be revealed as long as I stay connected and keep coming back. So I learned to trust these individuals. So after stop hearing, I started listening. After start seeing with my physical human eye, I started looking through my spiritual eyes. That makes sense? So trust. I began to trust others, and they were shown to be a much greater power than me, led here, because we are chosen, to the spiritual fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, freedom from fear, right? All right, so then he goes on to say, As a result of learning to trust others, I began to believe in a higher power greater than myself. Having faith freed me from the bondage of self. See, I had faith. I gained faith. Before I came into the spiritual program of Alcoholics Anonymous, it was all about fear. Slowly but surely, the spiritual principles, tools, and resources cut away the fear. As I began to utilize and practice these spiritual principles in my life, fear diminished and faith began to grow. Why? I was staying sober, number one. Two, I was changing my attitude, ideas, and behaviors. Why? Because I began to be honest. I began to be open-minded, and I definitely became willing, right? And so it's amazing how when I look at my journey before I got into Alcoholics Anonymous and my journey since I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous, what? Same vessel, different spirits. Lord, I love you. I love you. Okay. And then he goes on to say, right? As material gains were replaced by the gifts of the Spirit, my life became manageable. Now, I got to show that. I got to dissect that, baby. Having faith freed me from the bondage of self, right? Okay. As material gains were replaced by the gifts of the Spirit, my life became manageable. Okay. Now, I can see through my material house of clothes, shoes, how unmanageable I was and am. However, I've been restored to sanity. Yes, because I recognize I don't need anything. So when it says freedom from fear is more important than freedom from want, oh no. Why am I buying? Why am I buying? Why am I buying? What am I not addressing? What am I trying to avoid? What am I trying to conceal? Why do I got to reach out, huh? It's an internal job, not an external job. All right, I got to get ready to go. All right, so then he says here, as material gains were replaced by the gifts of the Spirit. The gifts of the Spirit. Huh? Gifts of the Spirit. What spirit? The fruit of the Spirit. The gift of the Holy Spirit. The gift of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The gift of God. Oh my God. Woo! I'm telling y'all, I got to go, but listen, y'all, I know y'all feel me, okay? So as material gains were replaced by the gifts of the Spirit, my life became manageable. I then chose to share my experience with other alcoholics. Now, you may not be an alcoholic, but you are addicted to something. I am sharing my experience, my strength, and my hope with you because that's what I was commanded to do, want to do, obligated to do, responsible to do, and want to do. If this process helped set me free from fear, it is my duty to let you know it can happen to you too. Huh? It can happen to you too. Okay? And so, wouldn't you want to be free from fear? Wouldn't you want to be free from recovery, emerge empowered? Stay sober, Edwina. Recovery is where you need to be. You will be recovering till the day I call you home. But you can have your heaven here on earth as long as you apply spiritual principles to all earthly matters. I tell you, the one question I ask myself Edwina, is what you want to say, is what you want to do, is how you're going to act. Is it going to feed the flesh or is it going to feed the spirit? I want it to be the gift of the spirit. I'm giving myself to you. That's why I'm authentic and transparent as possibly as I can be. I don't want any more masks. Huh? I don't want to fake the funk. I don't want to perpetuate the fraud. You know what I mean? No. I have been set free from fear. And even when my humanness wants me to feed into something, that spirit comes in and says, oh, no. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. But no, don't you dare. Which spirit are you going to yield to today? Choose ye today who you will serve. I choose to serve my God, who did for me what no other human being could be, even my mother. Looking at her on that refrigerator. I had a praying mother. I love you, mommy. Yes. But she too was limited. But she would tell God, and she told that devil, get your hands off my children. I didn't carry them since 6 to 9 months for you to take them. Get your hands off my children. Yeah. I had a praying grandmother and a grandmother did, but I had a praying mother. I know that, right? But I had a praying Jesus Christ. He prayed for us. He gave his life for us. So my gift to my God is to stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. Is that you? Is it you? I know I'm helping at least one person. It ain't none of my business who, but at least one person, right? Each one, teach one, so that we all can be set free from fear. From recovery, emerge empowered. From recovery, emerge restored. From recovery, emerge rebound. From recovery, emerge rejuvenated. Yes. From recovery, emerge resilience, right? You can listen. Those are positive spiritual acronyms for fear. Instead of F everything and run. You choose which fear you're going to accept today. Be free from fear. God bless you. I love you. You love me. We are one big old family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? If it's God's will that we are rejoined tomorrow, I'll be here. And if it's will that you will be here, I will see you then. Until then, be of service to others. Be blessed. Bless somebody so that you can continue to be blessed. I love you, Lord. Thank you. I love you, Lord.